The movie begins in northern Iraq with a squad of snipers from the United States overseeing an attempt to retrieve and move Yusef Abad, a leader of a terrorist group, and his family to an extraction point for evacuation. On the other hand, the terrorists get information that the American soldiers are coming. So all their training is coming to a head, that this is their land, so they must defend it.
Or even move Yusef Ahmed and his family to an extraction point for evac. Target location is north side of the plaza.
Later, while the snipers are conversing, then they get eyes on their target and his vehicle. Although they disagree with Yusef's free pass as he's a terrorist, they must follow the orders for political reasons. Yusef requests that the United States soldiers protect him because he believes the soldiers own vital information that could serve them. On the other hand, several members of the terrorist group are moving towards the pickup point through a secret route. They didn't stay silent when their leader was about to be captured by the soldiers. They want to thwart the soldiers' efforts, one of which is to disable the sniper squad first. Later, the terrorist group manages to locate one sniper. Then, as Dawson, one of the soldiers, reports that they discovered him, a sniper kills him.
Guys, we got a problem. My position's been compromised. I repeat, my position.
So Frank, one of the US soldiers and the head of the sniper squad, removes his earpiece, gets out of his place, and goes to Dawson's despite the other sniper, Timothy, telling him not to break position. After that, things get out of control when the terrorists manage to corner them. This forces Frank to take unexpected and unplanned action, killing the terrorist leader and his family.
Do not break position.
10 years later, in Las Cruces, New Mexico, Frank, who left the military, doesn't deny that the shooting incident still haunts him. It weighs on his mind so much that he can't tell anyone about it. He then attends a support group where everyone shares what they're going through, but when they ask him if he wants to share anything, he rejects it.
Frank, you've been here for a while. Feel like sharing anything with the group?
After no longer being a soldier, Frank devotes much of his time to running his auto repair shop, now his primary income source. Later that day, Frank and one of his staff, Pedro, complete their work on fixing a customer's vehicle and invites him for dinner. However, Pedro rejects it because he's got a date.
Good World Creek. Get out of here.
In the evening, Frank is having dinner with his wife, Cassie, and stepdaughter, Shannon. Cassie then asks him to take her and Shannon on a weekend getaway. Still, he tells them that he has to take the repaired car to the customer's house, so Cassie insists that she come along. However, he says that he'll bring Pedro, but Cassie tells him they will ride the pickup and wouldn't let him leave them stuck on a Saturday. Since Shannon uses her charms to convince him, he finally agrees for them to go with him. However, he feels a little worried because the customer is none other than a crime lord with whom he had previously worked.
Please, Frank, please.
We'll ride pickup.
How could I say no to that?
The following day, he shows up at the residence of the crime lord and meets one of the lord's most formidable men, Nelson, with a young lady. He then tells him she's a little young, but Nelson asks him if he's lost.
The fuck you doing here?
Delivery.
Oh, you're the grease monkey. I'll show you where to go.
I know the way.
When Nelson takes out his knife attempting to stab Frank, a man named Lazarus, known as the crime lord's right hand, appears and instantly steps in to intervene. Lazarus then takes Frank to meet the crime lord named Leo. When they arrive inside, he sees a birthday surprise for Nikki, Leo's daughter. Then, Nikki comes with her father and asks Leo if she can ride her bike gifted by Leo.
Birthday!
Papa, can I please ride my new bike, please?
If you promise to take it out of the driveway.
Thank you, Papa, thank you.
When he sees Nelson having a snack in his kitchen, he orders him to watch over Nikki. But Nelson objects, asking why he always has to run errands, making Leo angry. Leo then tells him he'll ask Lazarus to cut out his tongue if he ever talks to him like that again.
Oh, it's gotta be that errand boy. Because you are the fucking errand boy.
Yeah, sorry. Wait up, Nikki!
Then, Frank receives an envelope containing enough cash from Leo to pay for the repair of his car. However, he realizes that the amount of money is too much if only to pay for repairs. Leo says he did this on purpose because he wants to offer him to return to work as a hitman, but Frank refuses the offer. Even so, Leo gives him the envelope with the money and lets him go from there.
I'm done with that other shit, Lem. You know that.
Keep it. You earned it.
Be right back, huh?
Sorry.
After that, he returns to their truck with Cassie and Shannon waiting for him, then drives back home. In the evening, Frank woke up from a nightmare about the incident 10 years ago. He then calls Timothy, but he doesn't speak when Timothy answers. The next evening, he sees the news that Nikki died in an accident caused by a hit-and-run driver, which saddens him as he just witnessed how much Leo loved her.
Today, in a tragic accident of Leonard Ochoa, a prominent Mexican businessman and long-suspected member of the Sinaloa. As of this afternoon, the driver is still being sought by law enforcement.
Cassie then asks him what's wrong, but he shakes his head and refuses to answer. Then, he receives a call from Lazarus but doesn't answer it. Not long after, Lazarus and his men visit Frank, who tells him that Leo wants him to help him avenge the death of his daughter.
Frank, what's going on?
Get back inside.
He wants this guy gone, Frank.
I'm not interested.
At first, he refuses and says that it doesn't consist of him fixing an automobile, and he doesn't want to go back into the world of gangsters. However, because Lazarus threatens him, he has no other choice.
Look, Frank. 10 o'clock tonight.
Meanwhile, Cassie, who saw the arrival of Lazarus and Leo's men at their house, asks why they want to see him at this time of night. He then tells her there's nothing to worry about, for it's just old business and has nothing to do with them. Then Shannon interrupts them asking Frank to tuck her in. After that, Frank tells Cassie he has to go, but he refuses when she asks her to stay. So, she becomes angry and slaps him.
Get out of here! Won't even go!
Yet, he tells her he's not going to hit her, causing her to push her away and leave. Arriving at Leo's place, he sees him, who still looks frustrated and depressed over the death of his daughter. Leo then speaks about how he wants the man to die, but Frank tells him to have Lazarus do it. However, Leo says that he does good work if he wants to level the city, but for such a situation, he needs him. Frank then says he's already retired, but Leo threatens to tell Cassie about his dark past if he refuses to help him. And because he doesn't want his wife to know about his history, he finally agrees to Leo's offer.
This calls for the silencer.
But I'm retired.
Little Shannon and her mommy, all about you.
All right, Len. I'll do it.
The next day, Lazarus hands Frank complete documents regarding the perpetrator so he can immediately carry out his mission. It didn't take long for Frank to find the whereabouts of the culprit, so after determining the proper position, he rushes to set up his sniper rifle to take action. Seeing the perpetrator with his family, Frank was reminded of the incident where he made a fatal mistake that always weighed on his mind. Not wanting to make the same mistake, he decided not to kill the man and let the police arrest him.
The guy's name is Anderson. He and the wife got a place a few hours outside of town. Len just wants Anderson. Bastard turned himself in. Sheriff's due to pick him up tonight.
However, unbeknownst to him, Leo ordered one of his men to watch him from a distance and report to Leo. Knowing that Frank did not act at all and instead let the police arrest the man, Leo ordered Lazarus to kill the perpetrator and Frank. Elsewhere, Cassie, who was at home, was surprised by the presence of Lazarus and Leo's men who shot her and kidnapped Shannon.
Where's Frank?
I don't know.
Well, I guess you're gonna help me find him then.
Vas a ir, puta. Les, what about the kid?
After that, Lazarus and his men managed to snatch the perpetrator from the police and then took him to a place to be tortured to death according to Leo's orders.
Get down!
Meanwhile, Frank arrives home, is shocked to find Cassie lying helpless, and rushes her to the hospital. He then meets up with one of his former colleagues in the sniper squad named Timothy and asks for help in kidnapping Shannon. After Timothy agreed to help him, Frank met Cassie at the hospital, who was devastated by what had happened to her and Shannon. She was furious with Frank for lying to her and causing all of this to happen. Here, Cassie has found out all about her husband's past, which turns out that apart from being a special forces officer, he also worked on the side as a hitman for the leader of the crime, Leo. Frank then approached her, apologized for everything, promised that he and Timothy would bring Shannon home safely, and asked her to rest. Frank and Timothy then rush to Leo's house, but when they get there, he finds out that Leo and Lazarus aren't there, and neither is Shannon. Then, Timothy manages to bring down Leo's only henchman, who's still there. However, when he catches Frank off guard, he reaches for Frank's gun to shoot him. Timothy then kills the man without thinking, making it difficult for them to get information about Shannon's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Leo, who's still devastated by the death of his daughter, then takes Shannon to his hometown. Even though Leo treats her very well, like his daughter, Shannon is still afraid and wants to return to her mother. On the other hand, Leo's wife, Marta, considers his actions to kidnap Shannon too much and tries to convince him to end all this, but he ignores her. Having worked for Leo for some time, Frank can locate where they can get information about Leo and Lazarus. Frank and Timothy visit one of Leo's largest drug factories in Mexico. They quickly take down his men and extract information about Shannon's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Lazarus, who had anticipated that Frank would come to them, orders Nelson to kill him.
How can I help you, gentlemen? We're just here to pick up a money drop for Ocho. He's busy. I'll take a message. Back room.
However, Frank finds Nelson having fun at a bar, where he attacks him and forces him to tell Shannon's whereabouts. At the same time, Timothy beats up the rest of Leo's men.
That toy scares me, mother. Give me yourself, grease monkey.
After getting the desired information, Frank then kills Nelson.
Where?
Summer home, some shithole town.
Hey, you're gonna be okay.
Knowing the location of Shannon being held captive at Leo's house, Frank and Timothy prepare their weapons to face Leo and all his men to save Shannon. On the other hand, Lazarus is preparing all his men to guard Leo's residence so Frank can't infiltrate there. However, Lazarus and his men are no match for Frank and Timothy, who are professional snipers, so they're easily defeated in gun battles. Although in the process, Timothy gets seriously injured, so Frank has to continue his mission alone.
Yeah? Come on, you wanna play, man? What? Come on. Roll faster, motherfucker!
Hey, Laz. Where is she?
You won't give her up, Frank.
Good. Go.
Knowing that Lazarus and his men are losing the battle, Leo rushes to take Shannon away from there at gunpoint. However, as they leave, they come across Frank, who asks Leo to hand Shannon over to him, and promises to keep him alive in exchange. Marta, who's there, then tries to convince Leo to let Shannon go because she's not their daughter and has her own family who loves her very much. However, Leo still ignores her and everything she's saying and prepares to attack Frank. Shannon then sees an opportunity to catch Leo off guard, so she bites his hand, causing Leo to turn his attention away from Frank for a moment. Frank then throws a knife into Leo's heart, killing him.
Do what every papa should do. I have to protect her. Protect his little girl.
The movie ends with Frank bringing Shannon home and keeping his promise to Cassie, who has forgiven him and accepts him as he is. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy, hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. You should watch the full movie. Thank you very much for watching.